there is a lot of still there's a lot of animosity between. I know she's in Ukraine, but
Yes.
between U.S. and Russia, as you know.
Yes, but I
Doesn't
would
help.
think that the officials would be favorable to people who are not supporting the regime of Russia and wanting to leave. They don't see it that way.
I don't think that works into it at all.
Mhm.
But in terms of going back to documents,
Yes.
um, so she hasn't had military service, but this job or this group that she
Militia,
was,
yes.
this militia,
Yes.
she may wish to have some documentation concerning it,
Mhm.
just because it's an unknown factor.
Yes.
Okay, so if she has it with her, she can show it if there are any questions about it.
Yes.
Okay, so I would recommend that.
Okay.
I showed you this list that I'm going to be giving you, but I just kind of wanted to keep it in front of me so I can read a couple things from it. Has she ever changed her name or used any other name?
No.
Okay, so and have you?
No.
Okay, so that's easy. Um, she'll need police certificates from any country that she's lived in since her 16th birthday.
Yes, she has that.
Okay, is that just Ukraine?
And she got one from both Russia and
Russia,
Ukraine, even
okay.
though I guess she hasn't been there in over 8 years. I
Mhm.
guess she still needs one for
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But she's lived there as an 16 and above.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
But she got one from Russia and Ukraine.
Okay. They want two passport style photos for her interview, but she'll also need passport style photos for the medical exam.
Yes.
Okay. The affidavit of support, as I said, we're going to get back to that. Marriage certificates. They're requesting previously married persons should present marriage certificate or change of name if they no longer have it. And I think the reason they're looking for that is if her name has changed. So it says if the marriage certificate from the previous marriage has been submitted to the registrar's office at the time of the divorce, a change of name certificate must be obtained from the registrar's office.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
But she
give
didn't
this
have
to
a
you.
change of name.
Okay.
She didn't change her name for
Marriage or divorce?
as far as I know.
Okay. It might make sense for her to have her old marriage certificate if
Okay.
she has it. Okay.
I'll ask her.
It's
about
unlikely that they'll be looking for yours.
that. Okay. Yes, because I had no change of name either.
Okay, but it's on here. Okay, it's not always requested for these cases in Ukraine. This is a U.S. consulate in Ukraine's. This is Kiev.
Yes.
Okay, they're asking for these documents. Change of name certificates when they apply, divorce or death certificates for termination of prior marriages, proof of relationship, we'll get to that, medical exam, we'll get to that, application form, that's a DS-160, okay? And then they have a checklist here. You don't need translations for any documents that are in English, Ukrainian, or Russian. Okay, you might want to get them if it's easier to get them
Yes.
now, but you don't have to
I
get them.
think she got them for her
Okay.
documents.
You said the medical exam she's already getting done?
Yeah, she's got it done.
Okay, so this is
And
important.
it's a sealed packet.
Oh, it's finished?
Yeah.
Did she have her vaccinations done as well?
She just had
You're
some
not
vaccinations
required
done
to.
yesterday. Yes.
As part of the exam?
Yes,
Okay,
I believe so.
because you're not required to for a fiance, but if you're going to adjust status later on, get your
Yes.
green card, you'll need them then, so I tell people, get them if
Yeah.
you can get them.
That's what I told her. It's very inexpensive over there.
Yeah.
And
But
if
this
you
is
have
part of the medical exam,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
That she had them done?
Yes.
Okay, good. So that's taken care of. And if they give her the results in that sealed envelope, which it sounds like they did, she has to bring it sealed to the interview.
yes.
Okay? If they gave her an x-ray or something like that, generally you're not required to bring that to the interview, you're required to carry it with you
Mhm.
at the time of admission.
Okay.
Okay? So, that's that piece of it. Let's talk about the affidavit of support and then proof of relationship.
Yes.
So, do you have any other questions on the stuff I just mentioned before we go into those documents? No. Okay. In the first couple of pages of this, just so you know, it tells you how to pay the fee, the filing fee, the $265.
Yes, yes.
It tells you how to register for document delivery online
Yes.
and how to register for your appointment.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
That's all
you
the
said she's
details.
already scheduled, so
Yeah.
those things are probably done. It also probably, I didn't, I just printed this out, but it probably has it has a link in here for where she fills out the DS-160, which is also done.
Yes.
Okay, that's at the SEAC website. CEAC. It's just a Department of State website. All that gets done at. Okay, affidavit of support. So you're required, since you have, if you look back at your background, there are questions generally for an affidavit of support.
Yes.
Size of household,
Mhm.
okay, which includes yourself, your fiance.
Mhm.
It includes any children that you're still supporting, any other
Yes.
dependents
Yes.
that you're still obligated to support.
Mhm.
Anyone who's listed on your taxes as a dependent, and anyone who has a still active affidavit of support that you previously filed.
Right.
Which I'm guessing that doesn't apply.
Correct.
So your household size would be 3.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you're still supporting one of your children.
Yes.
And really, the amount you have to earn for that is approximately $26,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you were doing her adjustment to status application, the green card, when after you get married, you have to show 125% of the poverty guidelines,
Mm-hmm.
which would be, about that 26,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For the fiance case, you actually only have to show 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really closer to maybe 21,000 or
Right.
something.
Right.
Okay.
Which is pretty low.
Yeah, it's a relatively low threshold. Some
Mhm.
people do have difficulty meeting it,
Mhm.
but it's there.
Yes.
Now, as part of your employment, your previous employment for 20 years,
Yes.
do you have as you said, you have a pension?
Yes.
Do you also have like any kind of savings?
They had just started a 401k,
Mhm.
so I have a small amount of that, and I included that in my financial.
What is it? Can you tell me the amount?
It was only about $1,000, so I just started. So, but
Okay, so that's-
combined with
Now,
my-
do you have any other? I'm just going to kind of go through some of
Yes.
these things because it makes it easier later on. So let's start with your 2020 taxes.
Yes.
What did you earn? I'm going to use the word total income.
Yes.
It's not necessarily adjusted gross income,
Yes.
but your total income figure from that return.
I don't know if it was adjusted or total, but it was $40,000.
40,000.
for
So,
last year.
so
25 of which was on unemployment. I don't know if that makes any difference or not.
it's there.
Yes.
Okay. So you have that number.
Yes.
Okay, and that would normally satisfy it. But as you mentioned, some of it was unemployment. So
Yes.
right now they're looking at your current income.
Yes.
Now, here we are, halfway through the year.
Yes.
What have you earned so far this year? You
Um,
just started working
yes. I was still on
as a home
unemployment.
health aide.
I was still on unemployment until the end of April.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started applying. I had been applying for jobs, but I couldn't get anything near what I was making at UPS.
Yeah.
And that is a union job. During that time, I was working on my house. I was converted from a one family into a two family.
Sure.
So
rental
what I
income.
did is I was just, I know how you describe it, but I was, converting a one family into two family. Now I have income. I have 2 rents from that.
You are receiving that already?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you have leases.
Yes.
Okay, so you could show that
Yes.
and, showing that they're paid, obviously.
Yes.
The house, do you own it outright
Yes,
or is
no
no
mortgage,
mortgage?
yes.
Okay, you had a mortgage?
No. I bought it from the owner. I made payments. There was a purchase contract or something. So this was like 5 years ago.
Okay.
That I finally paid it off and
Mhm.
I got the title to it. So I have the title to
So you
it.
have your deed.
Yes.
Okay.
I sent that also.
You
as
can
a-
provide your deed. Now,
Yes.
you can show value of the property. Usually they go by assessed value.
Yes.
Okay, so you would show your tax bills to show the assessed value.
Yes, I showed the tax bills, but there was no assessed value on my tax bill. I was in the past they
That's
showed it.
surprised.
Yes, I
Yeah.
was surprised. But
Maybe you didn't get the whole bill or you got an abbreviated version.
I don't know. But I sent in the copies of my tax bills also.
Yeah. Okay.
Showing that.
It's Albany County?
Yes.
Yeah, you should be able to get that online also.
All right. So I'll check that out.
Yeah, or at least the assessed value.
Yes.
There's this big 1,000-page document that has everyone's assessed value. You can print that out.
Yes.
So you can show value of the house. I think you would need to include a statement saying that I don't owe any money on the house.
Right. Well, I did go down and they did find one lien on the house for $1,600 from the state of University of New York, which was a course I hadn't even taken, but they charged me for it anyway. So I need to pay that off. I don't know if that's gonna cause trouble. or
Okay.
not, But it's,
Yeah.
compared to the value of the house, it's very small.
Okay, what's the value of the house?
The last tax bill that I saw with it on it was, assessed at $91,000.
Okay, again, so, they take a fraction of that and they
Yes.
figure out what it's worth for this. Now, again, for the other affidavit of support, the I-864, which you're not completing with this,
Yes.
okay, they would take, if you're married to the person, 1/3.
Mhm.
So again, you'd be free and clear right there alone.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so, they don't love real estate, they prefer cash assets.
Yes, and I have savings, I have a stock
Yeah.
account, I gave all that.
And if you have a stock account that shows, say 100,000, you
Mhm.
shouldn't have a problem
Mhm.
either.
Well, my stock account was like 20 and then went down
But
to 10 and went
they
back up to
generally
20.
want to see that over the course of a year.
Yes, and I showed the years.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
So it sounds like you have many documents to show assets.
Yes.
Your current income, what would you say you're making average week?
Well, with the limousine company, I'm still not working full time. In fact, it's just a part time job. So
Mhm.
probably on average, I'm only making $200 because I'm on call per week.
Okay,
With the home health aid, it's at least 300 a week on average. So I'm,
Okay.
I'm making 500 a week
okay.
right now with these two part time jobs. Plus the income from the rentals. I'm getting 1,500 a month from the rentals.
Okay,
So I have plenty of income. It's just-
so you just gotta document that.
yes,
Okay.
with the leases.
Yeah, the
and
lease, a couple of maybe proof that you show the deposits and circle them on your statements
Uh-huh.
of the amount that they're paying
Well,
you.
the rentals just started. I just got it fixed up. I got the occupancy permit for the first floor.
Mhm.
I'm still technically living on the second floor because that was another question I had because I plan to rent once the visa's approved, rent a house for us to live in, and I'll use
Okay.
my rents to pay the rent on my
Yeah,
house
yeah.
that I want to rent.
Mhm.
So there may be a slight conflict because I was living at 44 Main Street, but
No, we
now
can
I'm
always-
renting out 44 Main
Always have a
Street.
change of address, that's not a big deal.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, that's not an issue. They're gonna ask her where she's gonna be living.
Right, and she doesn't know.
No, initially she'll say, we're gonna be, initially I'll be at his current place if I
Yes.
get there very soon.
Yes.
We're gonna be renting a larger place, as
Yes.
soon as I arrive.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
very easy to respond to that.
Okay.
So I think and you filled out the I-134,
Which is
the affidavit of support form, the
Yes.
basic one, the one used for non-immigrant purposes.
Yes.
Okay, so the I-1.
that's separate from the affidavit of
There are
support
two
from-
different affidavits of support. There's the I-864, and I'll give you this right now, okay? So, the I-864 is the one used for adjustment to status, okay? And they tell you on this thing, just so you have an idea where am I, affidavit of support, okay? So they're saying presenting only the affidavit of support I-134 form is not sufficient, but that's actually the one you have to present.
Mhm.
They want documentation of earnings and assets. The I-864 is not required for the fiancé visa. That's used later. It's part of the adjustment to status application.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's not something she needs for her meeting.
No, but the
I will.
I-134, you should send her a signed, scanned copy of. Complete it, sign it, and date
Yes,
it.
I did.
Okay.
Yes, it had to be handwritten. I sent it.
Yeah.
It cost me $200 FedEx to send it because I
That
sent
is the
her.
worst.
I
Yeah.
sent her a pound of
I know.
documents.
I use DHL because they tend to be a little bit more dependable.
Uh-huh.
FedEx I use domestically,
Mhm.
DHL internationally.
Well, I'm
but
glad she got it because they delivered it to the wrong person and it went through 4 different hands before she.
As
finally
I
got
said,
it.
DHL's a little bit better. They
That's what I thought, but I didn't know where I could find DHL.
they're on Old Wolf Road. So
Okay.
you know where
I know where it is.
okay, yeah. So
Next time, if necessary.
if you ever have to send something, to Ukraine, Russia, or anywhere
Yeah.
else again,
Yes.
they're a better place to drop it off.
Yes.
Okay, just don't seal the envelope until they've seen it.
Well, I was ready to get on the plane and hand deliver if I had to.
It costs you almost as much. Right?
Exactly.
So other documents. Well, you need documentation of your relationship.
Yes.
So she still needs to, I would send her if she doesn't have it, a copy of the petition you filed showing that you guys were in fact, in the same place.
Mhm. Oh,
Okay,
yes,
within
yes,
the
I-
2 years
I-
before you sent,
Yeah,
before
I
you
sent all
filed.
that in, we've taken care of all
Okay.
that.
Copies of your flight itineraries
Yes,
and boarding
included,
passes if
included.
she has them.
Yes,
This passport stamps,
Yes.
your passport.
Mhm.
Um, you should, you should somewhere in here have a copy of your proof of citizenship,
yeah, my
Okay.
passport.
but not any original with that,
Right,
okay? They
right.
can verify that on their own.
Yes,
So, that's all good. Photographs of you guys together
oh,
for
many,
different
many,
occasions.
yes.
If they're annotated in any
Did that,
way,
yeah.
good, okay. Really, anything that you can show to show that your relationship, I don't know if she's on Facebook, you're on
Yes,
Facebook,
yes.
or
Or Messenger all the
the
time.
other,
Photos, we,
yeah, what's that other one for pictures?
Instagram.
Instagram,
Mhm.
okay. Providing those things are helpful. They started adding, I don't know if it's on the DS 160, I know it's on the immigrant version of it. They started asking about social media,
Yes.
like which social media do you participate in?
Mhm.
What's your identifier?
Yes.
And the reason for that is they may go and look themselves
Yes.
to verify that you guys are holding yourselves out as being in a relationship.
Well, we're not holding ourselves out to anyone except
Mhm.
ourselves
Yeah.
because she wants to keep her privacy. Her ex-husband has stalked her. She actually got
Mhm.
assaulted by him. She filed a police report.
Yeah.
She had a concussion. She was bruised. The first time I went to visit her, her husband found out that I was coming to town and
Mhm.
tracked her down. But she doesn't want to talk about that to anyone.
Yeah, well, you know what? She might want to have a copy of that police report if they start asking her about social media and
Yes.
saying, "Hey, how come you're holding yourself out?" As if she does have single or available or whatever.
No,
Yeah.
she's not doing that.
Yeah,
No.
okay.
She's a very private person. She
Yes.
doesn't tell anybody her private business.
Okay. How's her English so far?
It's fairly good. You
Yeah.
know, it's improving. It's a little frustrating because I have to repeat myself and phrase things in a very simple manner.
But she's learning.
But she is learning, and we talk on video calls frequently and chat on Messenger.
And you guys are a similar age?
Yes, I am 50, going on 56. She's
Mhm.
50. So
Okay.
we're about 6 years apart.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So yeah, I know we each have grown kids, so it's
Mm.
like okay. Um, let's see what else. Yeah, you would know if you have other documentation of your relationship.
Mhm.
Okay, you can bring chat logs
Mhm.
or call logs or
Yes.
something like that.
Oh, yes.
Really, it's anything that you can provide or she can provide
Yes.
to show that you guys are in this relationship.
Oh, yes. We got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and maybe
Okay,
thousands
and
of
you'll need to show that again later
pictures.
after you're married.
Yes.
So the next, really, if everything goes well, they'll issue her a visa. I mean, she's lucky she was able to get an appointment.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Well, she had one and it was canceled, and she finally got another one.
Ah, that's a good point. Okay.
And we had to get an extension on one of the.
Yeah. So, did you send her something still saying I still intend to marry her, upon her arrival?
Somewhere in there, I seem to remember having a question to that effect.
Well, you included that in your petition at the beginning, I'm
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
Okay. I'm talking about now.
No, I haven't made any recent.
So the
statements.
petition itself, I presume the 4 months that's listed on the petition has passed, right?
Oh yeah, but I got an extension. I called the embassy and they gave me an extension,
Okay.
which is
Which is normal.
the 3rd of July. Yes.
Yeah, it's normal. They do that all the time.
Mhm.
So I would, if I were you, just write a quick statement saying, I'm the petitioner,
Mhm.
okay?
Yes.
Um,
That's getting to the question I had for
yeah.
you too.
So I'm the petitioner. I hereby request that her petition be extended again until such time as she's able to come here into the United States on the fiancé visa.
Okay.
I still intend to marry her within 90 daes of her arrival in the United States using her name.
Okay. Yes.
Sign it, date it. Doesn't have to be notarized.
Send it in an email to because obviously a letter.
Scan it. Take a picture of it or
Okay.
scan it and email it to her.
Okay.
So she can print it out and bring it in with her.
Okay.
Doesn't need to be, It has to be a wet signature that's been scanned.
Okay,
It
okay.
can't be a digital version of the understand what I'm getting at?
Yes, yes.
No stamps,
Mhm.
no Adobe digital signing or
Okay.
e-sign, none of that. It has to be a wet signature that you're taking a picture of or scanning.
Okay,
Okay, so the document has to be signed,
yes,
okay, and dated,
okay,
and then take the picture of it or scan it, whatever you have available to you,
okay,
and send it to her.
all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's an app. If you don't have a scanner, it's just like Cam Scan is one of them. CAMSCAN.
Mhm.
That's just one of many scanner apps that it allows you to play with the corners so it looks like a regular.
Yeah, I've
document.
used that before.
Yeah, and I mean that's it. She will need that.
Mhm.
Okay, that's.
Should I try to explain my income situation, that I have plenty of income?
You know what? It wouldn't hurt to include some kind of documentation and like in terms of an email. Again, put it in a letter format,
Right.
okay, and say I'm writing this to accompany the affidavit of support,
Right, right.
Form I-134, to demonstrate the sources of my income and my assets.
Yes,
And then you can list them all out, the things that you've given her to provide,
yes,
and say, so currently I'm earning. So if you were to take 500 a week, right, and extrapolate that out to a year,
yes,
say 50 weeks, right?
Mhm.
I think that's $25,000.
Yes.
Okay. So you should be
26. Actually.
26 if you do 52 weeks.
Mhm.
So it really
Is enough sufficient in itself.
It should be sufficient. But
Yes.
the problem is, you can't go back 6 months and say, this is my income for the last 6 months. You
Right.
can say, well, I was on unemployment for the first 5 months.
Actually, a whole year.
No, I'm talking about if you're
Of the
you're
year,
going
of
back,
this year, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
this year, because last year you have your taxes.
Yes, yes.
So and the tax return transcript is preferred simply because it's more authentic. It's
Yes.
easier for them to say, okay, this is a real document.
Right.
Whether or not one can mess with it and commit fraud is a different thing. But it's easier than just producing a tax return that doesn't necessarily mean it's been filed.
Exactly.
Okay, so at least you have an IRS document.
Now, they only asked for one transcript for 2020.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I provided.
Yeah. Now, if you have a track record of earning good income in 2019,
I did. I had 70,000.
Yeah, you can provide those as well,
Mhm.
and again, you can email them to her, and she can print them out, and just have them with it,
Yes.
because it'll show that you're somebody who usually
Mhm.
2020 was an odd year, but usually earns more than sufficient to meet the affidavit of support requirements.
Yes.
So you're going to show that you're a homeowner, that your
Yes.
home is valued at
Mhm.
however much money. You're going to show that you have some investments, about $20,000 in investments. All of these things together are going to mean that you're not likely, she's not likely to become a public charge.
Right.
And really, the reason this is the non-immigrant version of the affidavit of support is because K-1 is a non-immigrant visa. Now, it's treated very much like an immigrant visa. They do the medical exam and everything else because she is an intending immigrant.
Yes.
She plans on adjusting status after you guys are married.
Right.
But that's a separate issue. Okay?
Yes.
So, what else can I tell you?
Okay, so let's just review real quickly the things that you recommend that I include in this letter of intent that I'm planning to marry her, that I'm going to ask for another extension on her petition.
Yeah.
And I'm going to send a letter explaining my financial situation, that it's unconventional because I haven't.
The first letter you have to say your intent to marry.
Okay, that's a separate letter.
I would do it as two separate things.
Okay.
Okay, so this is statement of intent. Statement of intent. Really, that's all you need to call it.
Okay.
And you'll say, this is to reconfirm that I intend to marry Elena Costina within 90 days of her arrival in the United States as a K-1 non-immigrant, pursuant to my petition. In regard to that petition, I ask that its validity be extended again to provide sufficient time for her to come to the United States on that K-1 visa.
Okay.
And simple as that, you've got it on, you know what to type.
Yes. Okay. And so, how long after this interview generally does it take for them to approve or disapprove?
Well, they'll usually give her a signal at the interview.
Okay.
And if they keep her passport, it's a good sign that she's being approved.
Okay.
Not guaranteed.
Right.
But then they'll, like I said, they'll give her a signal at the interview, and usually she'll get her documents back in 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
Through the courier service.
Okay.
Okay. So, whatever she registered with in accordance with the first page of that document.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, it's relatively quick, but you're talking about the current extension expiring in July.
Yes.
They, as a matter of just normal course of business, they will extend these. They generally want a letter from you, again, confirming that you still intend to marry her as part of any extension.
Okay.
And that's why you're being proactive in providing that.
Okay.
And that way, she hands it to them, they see it, and they're like, okay, we're good, we're going to extend it. We approve the visa might be good for 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, it's the visas don't have to be for any specific period of time. I've actually seen them for 4 months or 6 months, and sometimes as little as 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
If her passport is set to expire soon, that would limit any form of entry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's probably not, right?
I'm not sure. I think she renewed it recently.
Good.
I guess that leads me to the next question. If they have, like, for example, this issue about the militia, it's probably not going to be a problem. But if they have some question about that, can they deny the visa and say, okay, we'll give you another interview, come with...
No, it doesn't sound like it's a significant thing.
Right.
She did this as a youth.
Yes,
Yeah.
she was like, after college, she was young, maybe in her young 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't actually participating in it, but they promoted her because she had a maternity leave, and she ended up being a captain in the militia, but she had no militia.
So sometimes they do have issues with active membership in the Communist Party.
Yeah, no, she's
Okay.
doesn't have any of that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's really the most significant thing.
Mm-hmm.
The militia, I would simply explain, as part of organizations or associations that she was part of.
All right.
I was a member of this group. It was there was military training for some people. I did not participate in it. Was it governmental? What kind of?
Well, it seems to me like, obviously the Communist Party and the government were hand in glove over there during this time, during the 80s. So it seems to me that she was what she called a juvenile investigator. So she was keeping an eye on the kids.
I see. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it depends on the questions in part that are on the 160 that relate to that.
But
I don't think there is anything on the DS 160 that specifically says. So when she adjusts status, when she applies for her green card, there will be a question about organizations, associations, foundation, all this stuff.
Yes.
She will definitely have to bring it up then. That's later on.
Right.
Okay, as part of that process,
she should try to find some kind of document to show what she was.
Yeah, if it comes up.
Yes.
But it doesn't sound like, you have to. She has to read the questions. I don't think there's anything in that document asking, but really what it comes down to is she has to be truthful, and if there's anything that could be inferred as it should have been a yes, she needs to provide an explanation when it comes up, if it comes up.
Yes, and
they don't generally go through that application line by line. It's not like here when you do the adjustment to status interview. At the consulates, it depends on the consulate, but they don't. They see anything that rings a bell. They might ask us some questions about. Yeah. But I mean.
But they're not looking to disqualify people and picking through.
Exactly. And if she answered no on something that she's unsure of, she should bring it up and say, "Hey, listen, I just want you to know I answered no on this because I believe that's the correct answer, but I was involved in this group and explain what it is." What it's officially called, because they have a list that they can refer to see if anything is like a terrorist group, which is really their major concern.
Yeah, no, it was an official group of the government, so it wasn't any independent terrorist group.
Definitely. So it doesn't sound like it's an issue, and it probably isn't even a yes on the forms.
Right.
But again, you have to make sure that the questions that are asked were answered correctly, and if there is a mistake, that it's, I mean, because she's gonna be signing a version of it to certify it at the interview,
Mhm.
and so, or at least affirming that everything is true in there.
Okay.
And so you wanna make sure that if there is something she needs to kind of raise her hand about and say, hey, just so you know, I did belong to this group, but I didn't receive any military training
Okay.
or weapons training or anything like that. I don't believe it was military in nature. It was a you know, kind of a good government group,
Yeah.
or whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. There was one other issue she wanted me to bring up, is
Yeah.
that when we first met, she applied for a tourist visa to come over here,
Yep, and it was denied.
and was denied.
And she put that on the DS 160 that she had
Yes.
applied and was denied.
Yes, yes, and she's worried about that, because when she made the application,
Yeah.
she put down for medical reasons by accident, and she thinks that's why she got denied. And
So
so,
were there medical reasons?
no, she said it was
Okay.
an accident, it was a mistake on the
Yeah.
application. And so she's worried that that might be an issue with them.
Could be. I mean, you know, I don't know. It really depends on how she represented herself in that application.
Right.
And, you know, at the time, what was your intention when you were coming here? If they ask her about it, say, you know, she can say, look, I applied for a visa, you know, back on whatever year.
Yeah.
It was denied. You know, at the time, I, you know, wasn't planning on getting married.
Right.
You know, that we were seeing each other back then, but it
Right.
wasn't, because the timing will show itself in your statement and everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had proposed to her already when she made that visa application. So
Yeah, but you weren't necessarily planning on getting married that, you know.
on that visa.
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
right,
yeah. No,
yes.
and but that's the thing. If you know, look, if they make a finding that she engaged in fraud,
Mhm.
well, then she's screwed. No, I mean it
Right.
is what it is.
Right, and
So-
there's appeals process for that too, though, isn't there?
Not very good appeals process, really. It's
So if she doesn't pass at this interview, then she's done. She can't.
yeah, more or less. What happens is they send it back to USCIS to seek to revoke the I-129F, which, but doesn't academically, it doesn't make a difference. It'll be expired at that point.
Mhm.
So now, if they make a finding that she misrepresented herself, either in that other interview or in this interview, which would compound the fact.
Mhm.
So, you know, look at this interview, right? And so she now says, you know, like for example, if the question was, have you ever been denied a visa, right? And she says no.
Right.
I mean, it's obviously, you know, refused a visa. She was refused one.
Yes.
She said no, and she, you know, misrepresented that fact, and it was,
Right.
and then she reaffirms that at the interview. No, I wasn't.
Mhm.
I never applied before.
Right.
It must be somebody else.
Mhm.
Okay, that would be a misrepresentation
Right,
now.
right.
Okay, so she previously was denied a visa, and now refused a visa, and here she applies again. She put it on her application. They
Yes.
ask her, we refused. Yeah, I applied for a visa.
Mhm.
And if they say, oh, well, it looks like you applied for medical reasons. What were the medical reasons? I mean, the only answer she can really say is,
It was a mistake.
unless she had medical reasons,
Right. No, she
you know, so that was a mistake. Either she was preparing or somebody was helping her prepare it.
She did it herself.
Okay, it was I clicked on the wrong thing. I didn't realize it, and yeah, but it doesn't make a difference.
Right, and we didn't put anything in the application or provide any information for her
For medical,
condition.
yeah.
Whatsoever.
Yeah, so it was, but there was an explanation of what she was planning on visiting for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was clearly an error. You know, I didn't, you know, on everything else I indicated my purpose of the visit
Yes.
was to visit my friend in the U.S.,
Yes.
whatever it was.
Yes, and we're going to tour. We're going to different places. And
Yeah.
she was going to assist me with a nonprofit, a religious group that
Sure.
I was associated.
And you would say now you know, we're engaged, we want to be married, and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And so as long as she didn't misrepresent herself then,
Yes.
okay, she has a good explanation for it now, she should be okay.
Yes.
Now, if she lies now and gets caught in that lie, that's compounding it and making it, you know, essentially she would need a waiver in order to overcome that. It would be very difficult to obtain a waiver.
Right.
the way that would probably work is you'd go out there, get married,
Mhm.
give her a basis for the waiver, you'd file an I-130 petition,
Mhm.
it would get approved, you'd go and, or you wouldn't go, but then she'd go for her visa interview, it would be refused
Mhm.
based on the prior thing, but they would give her something saying you can apply for a waiver,
Mhm.
and then she would apply for the waiver. It's just, it's convoluted
Mhm.
process, you have to follow these steps in order to get there.
Mhm.
And you apply for the waiver and it has to show extreme hardship to US citizen spouse in your case.
Mhm.
And that's how that goes, and it's very difficult to prove. Okay? So just better not to lie,
Right,
that's all.
absolutely. Yeah.
Especially not to get, caught in a lie, but don't lie in the first place.
Right. Mistakes can be explained, but lies
Yes.
are
Yeah. You
inexcusable.
compound things and it's even worse. But I
Yes.
mean, look, if her documentation that she submitted with that was to show she was going for, visitor for pleasure,
Yes,
and she had just checked the wrong box on something
yes.
that said medical,
Mhm.
and say, look, I didn't provide any medical documentation. I know there was nothing medical about the trip.
Right.
It was, lost in translation, so to
Yes.
speak. So that shouldn't be an issue, but, anything can happen.
Yes.
And
And so
there
all
could be
these
more
little-
things that she hasn't told you.
Yeah.
And so,
Not likely, but yes.
not likely, but it could be. And then, so anything can, can affect an interview. There's a little bit of unpredictability in it. In most cases, they look over the paperwork.